So, as you know, we have been spending some time talking about dealing with uncertainty, dealing with things that we may not like in the world, stressful situations. It's kind of a bleak focus, but we're trying to bring conversations that help us alchemize that and turn that into something that's for us and that we can be our best, no matter what the situation calls for. And when I was thinking about who I wanted to talk to, the first name, the absolute first name, was Michael Neill. Michael Neill is the author of several books that have informed my coaching. When I first became a coach, it was essential reading to learn what Michael Neill had to say. The Inside Out Revolution and Super Coach come to mind. I used to actually have my new clients read The Inside Out Revolution before they came to talk to me because I couldn't talk about this stuff in the eloquent way that Michael does. Formally, Michael Neill is an internationally renowned transformational teacher, author, broadcaster, and speaker, described as having a unique ability to blend the sacred with the profane. He asked me if he could swear on the podcast, and I said, please do when we start. The inside out understanding at the heart of the work challenges the cultural mythologies that stress, pressure, and other symptoms of seriousness are a necessary part of the adoption and growth in business and indeed any area of life. He's the CEO of the Genius Catalyst, where he spearheaded the growth of a consultancy and multimedia organization delivering services to tens of thousands of loyal customers each year. Michael has authored, as I said, The Inside Out Revolution, Creating the Impossible, Super Coach. His TED Talks, again, Why Aren't We Awesomer? I send out to absolutely everybody I ever meet, have been viewed by over 2 million people. And now we get to talk to Michael. Thank you for being here, sir.
You're welcome. Note to self, shortened bio, but thank
I
you.
actually should like the bio they send. I cut all that out
I,
of the
I
gigantic
actually, I actually went, oh God, I think there's more paragraphs. No, you're good.
yeah, but we're going to put the whole thing in the show notes so everybody knows just how glorious you are. So, thank you. One of the things that I love about the way you teach is the kindness with which you teach. It's like you don't know this yet, but it's okay that you don't know this, and you'll know it when you know it. So that's really helpful as we learn new concepts.
Well, there's a really wonderful line from C.S. Lewis, the author who wrote the Narnia books, is what he's most famous for, but he was also a Christian mystic in some ways. And he said, compassion begins the moment we can say, what? You too? I thought I was the only one. And I think it's really helpful to know that. It's like it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you that you struggle with things that other people don't struggle with and you might not struggle with one day. It's just pretty normal, but that also doesn't mean you're stuck with it. And that's good to know.
Nice. Which leads us to our topic today is, if people are having a hard time, there's a lot of people having a hard time, no matter whether they're for or against, some of the political things that are happening. The thing that we do know that's happening is change. And it's rapid change and it's a lot of uncertainty. I'm curious, you're probably having these conversations with people. How are you starting these conversations with the relationship with, kind of the uniqueness of 2024, 2025?
Well, see, I don't know if they had it where you are, but where I live, we had this thing called a pandemic recently. And so it's like, to me, this isn't really like living in times of extreme uncertainty and change isn't even new. Like it's not even unusual.
Mm,
If we look at the last 5 years, there's been more change and more uncertainty certainly that I can remember in my lifetime. So in a way, I'm not actually having that many new conversations about it, but it is an ongoing conversation. And where I often start is, um, how are you? Because how you are actually has nothing to do with any of that. And when people can start to make that separation, even a little, it doesn't mean they don't still have opinions, but it does mean that they stop trying to make life choices based on them.
mm.
Because,
So I'm curious, how do you know that these circumstances, these things that are happening have nothing to do with you?
well, there's a fairly simple thing that most people seem to be able to kind of distinguish, which is what's actually happened. And most of what people worry about is what they think the implications of what actually
Mm,
happened will be. It's not what actually happened. Honestly, nobody really gives a fuck what happened. What they give a fuck about is what's it going to mean for me? What's it going to mean for my loved ones? What's it going to mean for future generations? Which means I'm no longer in the domain of reality where I have some say. Like I have influence, I can have impact in reality. I'm in the domain of imagination. And we have no impact on the world in the domain of imagination because it's our imagination. It can influence our behavior. It definitely influences our state of mind because it is our state of mind, whatever we're thinking, we're feeling. You know, if we're thinking about the wonderful date we had last night, we probably feel very differently than if we're thinking about how 3 years from now we're all going to be in stalags or what. I don't know what people are, but it's like so. My experience is that.
mhm,
But if we're made for reality, like we really are. We do really well in real time. That's why people are amazing in crisis. That's why people so often surpass themselves
mm.
in crisis.
So you live
Be-
in Los Angeles. You live in Los Angeles,
I do.
are you
Bags
guys?
packed. We had bags. We're fine. We had bags packed by the door for 2.5 weeks. We had literally next street over was evacuated. We were without power for a while. Yeah, it was a mess, right? Right? And it was. But
So
in
that's
those,
a real thing that's happening.
it is a real thing that's happening. And while it was happening, what was real, we did fine. But as soon as we let our attention go to thinking about the horrible futures that could come,
Mm,
or even after the danger had passed, the horrible futures that might have happened. It was scary and stressful and shitty, but it also wasn't real. And that's kind of why it feels so bad. Is it's almost like when, like I often use the analogy of physical pain, right? If I put my hand on a hot stove, it hurts, and it hurts. That's a signal. I'm going to give you a little bit of pain now to avoid real damage later. Well, we don't realize that our emotional system works the same way. If a feeling, if a thought feels bad, that's telling you back off that thought. It's not telling you anything about reality. It's just telling you about your thinking. It's giving you real-time feedback. And scaring ourselves feels bad. It's supposed to, so we don't keep doing it, right? Angering ourselves feels bad, mostly. Sometimes it's kind of fun, but mostly it feels bad. So again, it's letting us know, hey, that's what it feels like to use your imagination, to use your creative thought that way. And it's that simple. We think it means all this other stuff, and we think it's no, it's telling us about the real world. No, it's not. The real world is just you and me talking. The real world right now is just somebody listening to us and doing whatever else we're doing. You know, often people confuse their life story with their life, right? So they're not, this is your life. This right here, this is it. This is your life. This is my life. It's pretty nice. You get a nice jumper, cute beard, nice orchid. I got an orchid, right? Like, this is life. But in my mind, oh my gosh, no, this is going on there, and this is happening here, and this is gonna happen here. And sure, I can do that. I can create hell with my mind, or I cannot create hell with my mind. Or really, what you can kind of do is let your mind go ahead and create hell, but ignore it and just be in your life. And actually, when you do, forgive the metaphor, but it's kind of heavenly. Like real life feels good. Being alive feels good. You don't see unhappy babies. You see wet babies who are unhappy about being wet. You see hungry babies who are unhappy about being hungry. But the default state is joy. That's us. And if not joy, at the very least, peace. And so we're just get so used to winding ourselves up, stressing ourselves out, putting pressure on ourselves, and thinking that it's the world doing it to us. But there's no mechanism for the world to do it to us. It is only happening in our own mind. I'm not saying there isn't a world. I'm just saying you can't experience it directly because that's not how the system's made.
So that's really nice. And I love that. But how do I get my mind to stop racing? How do I stop it from going into the catastrophizing of the future or the past or all that?
Well, the honest to God right answer, because there is one, is by seeing that it genuinely doesn't help and it kind of hurts. So, people sometimes, come and go, oh, I've got this, I'm addicted to pizza, right? And, and I'm trying really hard to give it up. And I gave it up for, whatever it is, alcohol, whatever our guilty pleasures are. But the truth is, as long as you experience it as really pleasurable, you're always going to struggle to give it up.
Mm.
But if you genuinely just lose your taste for pizza, you're done, right? It's a lot of people with COVID, their taste buds changed. And so there were foods that just didn't taste good anymore. So go figure, they stopped eating them. Even if in their minds they'd been like, oh, I can't stop eating that. It's like, yeah, actually, I can. I can't even taste it. Well, when we lose our taste for scaring ourselves,
Mm.
stressing ourselves out, and living in the drama of our imagination, we stop doing it because it doesn't taste good anymore. And the flip of it, which works with it, when we start to develop a taste for real life, for this, for what's actually happening, not what I'm remembering and making up, we want more and more of this. And so that's how. It's not difficult. It's just as long as it tastes good, you're going to want to eat it. And when it stops tasting good, you're not going to care.
Nice. So, if you listen to Joe Dispenza talks about, your endocrine system completely addicted to a certain way of thinking. It's looking for those hormones. You're just kind of at the mercy of all that until you somehow break that cycle. Uh, is there things that we can do to hasten the distaste for the pizza so that we want to eat the salad?
Oh, absolutely. Notice how bad it feels.
Hmm.
Like when you actually feel stress in your body, it feels awful. When you actually feel fear, it it's unpleasant. But we mostly just don't. We just go, oh yeah, and it's like we don't actually even feel it. So we don't realize how bad it tastes. Or, and there is an or we do, but we think it's inevitable. We don't
Hmm.
see it as being self-created. We see it as being created by circumstances. And so, well, we're just stuck with it. We've lost our taste for it, but there's nothing we can do. But when you see, and people do, I mean, there's always at least one or two areas where people go, well, I can see it here. I can see that I'm the one doing it here, but that's one's. And look, I always used to joke, and it was not that much of a joke that every experience that I have is made of thought, except for money and my wife, right? But actually, it turns out even them,
Right.
right?
Mine were my children. Right.
Right.
Like I can that's my holdout.
Yeah. But that's cute, and we all do it, and no problem. But anywhere you start to see it, it gets easier and you don't even have to make the change. Like that's the thing. You don't have to will yourself to not eat food you don't like. Like I have been coaching for over 30 years and in all that time, no one has ever come to me and said, I want to hire you. What do you want to hire me for? I have this terrible habit of poking myself in the eye with a fork. I like it's just no, it's not because of our willpower that we're not doing it. It's because we fundamentally get terrible idea. But most people think worry is a good idea. It keeps them safe. It keeps them sharp. It means they care. Most people think stress is necessary because it kind of if you're not being stressed, you're not paying attention.
What's going to motivate me if I'm not stressed?
Right. most people think pressure is important because, oh, when I don't feel pressure, I don't do anything. Well, so of course you can't get rid of pressure, stress, or worry because you think they're good for you. Now, when you start to, that starts to look suspect because nobody does better over time when they're continually stressed, continually pressured, or continually scared. Then it opens up the possibility of, well, if I did genuinely have a choice, is this what I put in my body? And the answer is never. Now, it doesn't mean you never will, because we do have habits of thinking and we do fall into them. But it's kind of no big deal because the second you notice it, you stop. The second I notice there's a fork in my eye,
Mhm.
it's not like, well, how do I take it out? No, I just, as soon as I notice that I'm doing it, it's done. Like, that's why I don't know a lot about Joe Dispenza's work, but all the people who kind of talk about, oh no, it's in the body. You can't just change it. Like, people change the habit of a lifetime in a heartbeat all the time. If an analogy I've given for years, but it's a good one. If your journey into work every morning takes an hour and there's a lot of traffic, and I can show you a shortcut that gets you there in 15 minutes without traffic, how many times do I have to show you the shortcut before you start taking it? And everybody goes once, maybe twice if my sense of direction's not great, right? Well, but I've been going to work the same way for 20 years. Well, it took one new thought and I'll never go to work the old way again. Now, I might occasionally, if I'm distracted, start going to work the old way. And okay, even I may even get stuck on that road and okay, today it took an hour. But it's no big deal because the next day I'm back to my new way.
Mhm.
And that's how, I won't say easy because it's not about doing it, but that's how simple change is on the inside. Once we actually see how it works, we're done. It's a done deal. Until we see how it works, it's all effort and struggle and techniques and how do I. Your system already does it. Your system is already filtering out so much noise, or you couldn't concentrate on us, right? It's like we're made to pay attention to what looks important and relevant. And it's just so all that actually needs to happen is all the noise I'm creating in my head about this terrible future I'm sure is coming for me starts looking like background noise.
Mhm.
And then I'm made to filter that out. I don't have to do anything about it. But as long as it looks important, of course I'm going to listen to it, no matter how hard I'm trying not to.
But Michael, such and such a group is being persecuted right now. But Michael, such and such a thing is going on over here right now, and I need, and I'm worried about it, and I need to talk about it on social media, and it's driving me crazy, and I can't sleep. What do you do with that?
Nothing. Like, for as long as that looks like a good idea, you're going to do it. So this is what I always say to people. You don't need to change, but if you want to, you can. So I'm not trying to get anyone to stop stressing. If stress is working for you, or if you think it's important that you're stressed, have at it. Like, it's your life. It's not mine. But if you genuinely want to,
Mm.
absolutely I can help. So I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. I don't think nobody should stress and this is wrong and why are you doing like I look, we're all doing our best. We're all living our lives
Mm.
the best way we know how. And so from my point of view, what I've come to see, what I do with my, it's like there's a pop album out at the moment that my wife is obsessed with, by a British singer named Lola Young, and her big song is "Messy," and if you haven't, look it up. It's a great song. Um, but I love the title of her album, and the title of her album is "This Wasn't Meant for You Anyways," right? And it's kind of her thing to the haters, right? Because she's messy, right? She's not everyone's
Mm.
cup. But that's how I feel about what I do. Like, I'm available as a resource. My books are available as resources. My podcast is available as a resource. A lot of people find it really helpful. But if somebody doesn't, well, it wasn't meant for them. like they're on their path. I don't need them to be on my path.
The thing I love about the way you teach is you basically just shine a light for
Hmm.
people to see, and just the most complex things like thinking. That's such a complex thing for us all to untangle for ourselves. When you shine a light on it, just like you have in the last 15 minutes, it's like it's just silly. Like, why am I worried about such and such? It's just I'm sticking a fork in my own eye.
Yeah, and not making a damn bit of difference to the thing that you care about. Right? If it did, well, okay, maybe. Like I just have a kind of an internal rule of thumb. If there's like two variables, um, uh, does it help? Does it feel good?
Hmm.
If it feels good but doesn't help, maybe. If it helps but doesn't feel good, sure. But if it doesn't help and doesn't feel good, I'm done. I'm out. Like that's makes no sense to me. And I have seen action help. I've seen compassion help. I've seen listening help. I've never seen complaining help. I mean, maybe it gives you a little bit of stress relief, so it kind of helps in that way. But how like if you didn't keep creating the stress, you wouldn't need so much stress relief.
What do you do with I should be doing something about what is happening?
Um, Try not to laugh in someone's face. And I don't. That sounds horrible, and I get it, but I do it too, right? Like me too, right? I absolutely, have shoulds in my head. But last time I checked, there are no shoulds in nature. So it is unnatural to try and live by a set of rules that aren't actually mine, that aren't actually what I know in real time.
Beautiful.
So I use a lot of different kinds of analogies, but one of the analogies I have is there's the story in the Old Testament of Moses and the Ten Commandments and going up the mountain and talking to the burning bush and being given the commandments by God and all that. And it's like there are times when we are so disconnected from our own souls, our own wisdom, our own wisest selves, that having a set of rules on stone tablets to live by seems like the best thing that we got. But if we have the choice between communing with that inner self, like talking to the burning bush, that's real time. That's always going to be better than whatever was on the stone tablets, which has to be kind of dumbed down and generified enough to be relevant. And sometimes we actually have the experience of being the burning bush. Like we're not even separate from it. We're on fire with our own wisdom and we're not being consumed by it. And so it's just different levels of consciousness, different, and we move in and out of them. Nobody stays in a constant state of pure bliss or pure horror. Well, sometimes people can stay in pure horror for a long time, but it's not really like that. It's much more of an elevator going up and down than a fixed
Mhm.
state. But if I come to see it for what it is, I don't take it so seriously. Like actually, one of my favorite translations of the Ten Commandments, some scholar who pointed out, I never remember who was Aramaic or Greek, that the original word for shall and shall not is the same as the word that we could translate as will or will not. And so their interpretation of the Ten Commandments was when you take God into your heart, which we can interpret if we're not religious as when you listen to your own deepest wisdom, you will not bear false witness. You will not covet your neighbor's wife. You will not steal your neighbor's ox. You will honor your father and mother. Like it's just actually math. When I am in the best place in me, I tend to behave in really helpful
Mhm.
ways. And when I'm not, then I have to should to try and get myself to. But by then it's like it's a losing cause. right? That's why you have so many people who try to do the right thing and keep messing up again and again and again, because that's not really how we're made. It's like it's like the Flintstones car. Like you can drive a car by pushing your feet through the floor and trying to run, but it's really hard. And it's not how cars are made. And we're the same. The way we try to make this work is so laborious when actually human beings are some of the most elegantly designed creatures in the universe. We're kind of amazing, but we live our lives as if we're not, and then try and have self-esteem. It's like, wait, you're so cool, and you're trying to love your Flintstones car.
Mm.
You've got a Ferrari. What are you doing? But until you see that,
So
it
why do
doesn't.
we screw it up?
Well, okay. So you're a baby, right? You're filled with joy, you're present, and and all these people who believe that the world is what they imagine and not where they are, and believe that every feeling and experience that they have is coming at them, not from them. And they want the best for you. They love you. And so they've been telling you since you first started hearing sounds before you could even translate them into meaning that this is the way the world works, and this is the best you can hope for, and this is what you should do, and this is what you shouldn't do. Of course, that's going to be what it looks like until you start to notice enough times, but this doesn't work. This doesn't fit. Like, if that was the way the world worked, why do I sometimes feel good when nothing good is happening? And why do I sometimes feel bad when nothing bad is happening? And you start to, most people at some point get suspicious, or you have a moment of absolute clarity for no reason. And there's a wonderful Winston Churchill quote that I love. He said, most people stumble over the truth from time to time and then get up, dust themselves off, and carry on as if nothing happened. Right? We don't actually realize that the reason there are all these glitches in the matrix is because it's a matrix. And when we start to, it's amazing how quickly it all starts slotting into place. And I do sometimes think, I mean, it's been a long time, I think, since you could you hit the side of a TV to make the picture come clear. Like, but when I was a kid, you could still do that, right? If the TV picture wasn't clear, you'd whack the TV and sometimes the picture would come clear. Like, there's an element of that to us. Sometimes we just need a little whack and boom, suddenly it's like, oh, hmm, yeah, my shoulder's back in place and my thinking's really clear and this is great. Thank you. And so we're not that far away. Even if we're in hell, we're not that far away. We're one thought away.
my,
And that's very hopeful when you realize it.
my favorite quote of yours always, and I probably get it wrong because I've been saying it for so many years, is you don't know until you know. When you know, you know. And I love that
Mhm.
because it's like this is so complicated, this is so complicated, and then oh wow, it's not so complicated. And it just, why was I struggling with that for so long? So when it actually does dawn on you, when you see these glitches in the matrix, when you see the glitches in your own thinking, for me, the one of the thoughts was, again, if I didn't worry, it meant I didn't care. Right? That was a glitch for me. I was like, oh, I'm wasting all this energy. And then the jig was up, like as you said. So paying attention, I think the would you say the best instruction is to slow down and pay attention to actually what's happening real time so that you can see for yourself?
See, my problem with advice is that when people need it, they can't hear it. When they can hear
Mm.
it, they don't need it. So, is the physics of what you're saying true? Yes. When I slow down in my head, I will notice more of what's really happening. That's true. Is it therefore also true that I should slow down so that? No, that's made up. That's a logical but not usually helpful. It's like telling somebody who smokes that cigarettes are bad for them. No shit. It's been a long time since people didn't know that, right? And so in the same way, it's like, yeah, most people do get, yeah, if I let it settle, I'll do better. But it's not that helpful to them because it looks so important to keep thinking what they're thinking, because otherwise they'll be a bad person. Otherwise, nothing will change. But in those moments where, for whatever reason, maybe you just are a little hungover, so you're running slower, you do start to see, oh, yeah, okay, this doesn't actually make sense. This isn't the best way I've got of making a difference in the world. In fact, so I had an experience a couple of years back that really brought this home to me. I was in Estonia doing a talk for Mind Valley at their conference, um, and I was having coffee in this coffee shop, and I don't live in constant bliss much as I'd love to, but sometimes I do. And I was in this just beautiful feeling that day. And I was drinking my coffee, and it happened to be there was this one street in uh, the name of the town we were in. It was the capital. I don't remember what it's called right now, but there's this one street, and it was the street that had been designated for protests against the war in the Ukraine. So the Estonians are not fond of the Russians, and so it was very much protesting the Russian incursion into the Ukraine. And I was sitting there genuinely kind of blissed out. Like, I would have said functionally stoned, but I wasn't on anything. But that's what it felt like. And and I'm looking at all these people in anger and pain and all these horrible pictures of atrocities. And I could almost watch the debate in my head. Is it okay that I feel this good when all that is going on? And it was a real, like, I really let it play out. I didn't get involved even. I was just watching it. And it just became obvious to me in that kind of, oh, way that my bad feeling would not do an ounce of good for anyone, but my good feeling might. And I hadn't seen it. It was almost like the juxtaposition was so stark that it made it obvious in that moment. And then what happened was a woman came in off the street, and she was begging, and and I bought her a meal and then left.
Mm.
Like, now, had I been all upset about the war, I would have brushed her off because I got bigger things to worry about than you. But see, life's funny like that. When we're in it, it gives us exactly what we need, and it uses us to serve. And so it was only because I stayed in my good feeling that I was able to genuinely help another human being. So that's what I've seen.
That story is a simple and eloquent illustration of things that I've been shouting from the rooftops as probably not as much less effective to what you just shared. That was quite beautiful. I'm curious, who have been your teachers? Who helped you along this path?
Well, over the years, I've had many, many teachers. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, but I would say the teachers that have had the biggest influence on me now. There's a, a Scottish mystic who I've never met. Well, he died a long time ago, but named Sydney Banks, Sid Banks, who his teachings made a huge difference in my world. There's a man, Dr. George Pransky, who was one of my first mentors in this, a woman named Mavis Karn, who I just adore. She's in her 80s. I'm just looking to see if I got a copy of her. Yeah, this is her book. It's called "It's That Simple."
Oh, nice. We'll put
Human.
the link of that in the
That's just full disclosure. I publish it, so
it's fine. It's
but I
fine.
publish it because I wanted her simple wisdom to be available to the world, not just me. So they've been some of my biggest mentors. Um, but I'm I don't know how to say this genuinely. Like, this isn't something I've said, but like, honestly, my biggest mentor has been the intelligence of life.
Mm.
Like the more I listen for that, the more it seems to talk to me. And it's not like I've got a hotline that nobody else does. It's just I've started listening so I can distinguish that voice more easily. And so a lot of what I've come to see has come from that. And what my mentors are really great at is going, shut up and listen to that. You know, and there's a large element to like my job description is to just point people back to that inner knowing, that inner wisdom, that innate intelligence, and to show them that it doesn't teach like here's the 5 point plan for how you're going. It just kind of gives you what's next. And the simplest way I know to point out to people that you know that you're listening is it comes to you, not from you. So like the mind can be used in broadcast or receiving mode. So broadcast is it's just playing what is already in there, which tends to be a lot of shoulds and have tos, and this is the way it is, and, rah, 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 and very scrunchy faced things. But it also has a receptive function. It can receive this signal. And when it's in that mode, the reflective or receptive, it starts picking up some amazing things that are just true, but we didn't know them until they revealed themselves to us. And that's why that sound that you've made a couple times and I've made a couple times, oh, that's the sound of insight. Oh, oh, right. It's that. It's not, yes, very good point. But it's like, that's a whole different conversation. That's a philosophical debate. And I always, I talk about it as a pub conversation. I lived in the UK for a long time. And
That's why you called my sweater a jumper.
yeah, there you go. So it's like it's like yeah, you want to sit down over a couple of pints and discuss philosophy. I actually am up for it, but I don't think it's helpful in actually living a deeply fulfilling life, which is kind of like one of the programs we're running this year is called How to Be Really Happy and Love Your Life. Because as far as I can tell, that's kind of what everyone wants. It's just people have very different ideas of what that would look like. And that's what makes it seem like we all want different things. We're not that different. The form is very different, but the desire behind it isn't.
Yeah, that's quite beautiful. I'm a little speechless. This was a lovely conversation, and I appreciate you bringing your wisdom so much. Now you have some online programs. Like if people want more of you, they can listen to your podcast, Caffeine for the Soul. They have online programs where they can go through some of this that you're teaching here. Where would they find that?
So michaelneill.org, and if you're new to this, and I'm going to assume most of you are new to this, and you want to kind of go deeper, there's a free basic course called the basic course. I'm very good with naming. And you can, so if you go to michaelneill.org/basic course, you can go, and it's a lovely, it's a sort of a 12 video program. I actually made it about 10 years ago now, but it still stands pretty well. And so that's just a nice place for people to start and decide if they want to go deeper.
There's so many places to start. The Inside Out Revolution, the first 30 or 40 pages are the most eloquent, simple introduction to a different way of perceiving the world. For me, I thought it was beautiful. And your videos on your YouTube channel, there's so much Michael Neill that you can just have a masterclass. So I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you. No, it's a kind way of saying I never shut up, but no, I appreciate it.
No, you and so to everybody else, like you just watched Jimmy Page playing a 12-string guitar to my ukulele. For me, this was a masterclass in simplicity and storytelling, and I hope you got something out of it. And my hope is that you listen really deeply and go delve into some of Michael's offerings and see how you can thrive no matter what the world is saying is happening. You can thrive and could thrive. I love you a ton. Have a great rest of the day.